All right, so I'm just going to go quickly over this Photoshop demo and keep it as short as possible. So when we get into Photoshop, just new file, make it 11 by 17. We'll be printing these off on 11 by 17 pieces of paper anyways, either at the MSC or at the print lab. And so just set it to that. Make sure the width is 17, height 11. Kablamo. We're in. And so after booting us up, the first is get your photo. This is my photo from last year, but I actually did it traditionally, and so this makes just more sense for the demo. And then what we're going to want to do is we're going to go to Image, this top left, Image, Adjustments, Levels. And so the better your photo, the better the product that you're going to get here. And so really try to take a photo in a well-lit environment with no shadows. If you have shadows on your image, it's really just not going to work. Like, it's just not going to work at all. And so we need this to be a good, the photo that you actually take to do this needs to be of good quality, nice lighting. But if you notice, right there, we got all these yellow, gray tones. We don't like that. And so we're pulling up levels to actually just wash out the paper. And so what you do is you drag this one on the right, which just controls your white levels. We're going to drag that until the paper is totally blown out. And then I'm also going to maybe play with the black handle on the far left and shift it to about there. And then I can also tweak this middle one just kind of by a feel basis, what kind of product that you want. But I think I'm happy with right there. I think that looks good to me. And so I'm going to click OK. Boom, done with that step. The next step here, really simple. We're just going to go to, in this bottom right is channels, right next to layers. We're simply going to hold Control, or if you're on Mac, Command, and you're going to click RGB. And so what this is doing, it is selecting all of the white of the page. And so what we want to do to isolate our lines is actually do Control-Shift-I, or you can come up here to select and invert the selection. And so by doing that, we have now selected all black on the page, which means that if I hide this layer right where my photo is, and I go now to a new layer, which is on this bottom right, I click new layer, and I have my color set to black, and I fill with that color, and now I deselect, boom. I have my line work completely isolated, all on its own. This, if it's a transparent PNG, all of my black line work separated, and now I have digital line work from my traditional stuff. And so to actually get this to look good, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to this background layer. I'm going to turn off this, right, it was locked. I'm going to unlock it, and I'm going to pick a gray tone, just so that the back of our paper isn't white, just because I think white is a little too abrasive on the eyes. And so I'm going to tone it down just a little bit. You know what? Maybe I might even go like that. Nice. Because if we come back here and look at this example, I really like this example in terms of gray utility, because we have this kind of, this maybe 30% gray in the background, and then we have a darker gray, and then a darkest gray, and then as well as a almost white, right? A really light gray that pops out, and I just like this feeling that it has to have a color that's lighter than the background, darker than the background, much darker than the background. These three stages really I think tie it all together and make it look real nice. So I hope that we all do that. And so after I have turned this dark, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to make a new layer below my line, right? I probably recommend naming these so you don't get lost. I'm going to name that line. And then I'm going to name this grays, because we're going to go and add those gray tones now. And so how I recommend doing that is we come up to this top left, and it's default set to either selection tool or lasso tool. We're actually going to drop it down to polygonal lasso tool. And I think the best way to do this is just boom, boom. Go around clicking the whole exterior of our vehicle. And so after I did that outline, I now have, my entire vehicle fully blocked. And so I'm going to pick that medium darker gray color. I'm going to come here and fill it. Boom. Awesome. Deselect. And now since I have the whole outline done, I'm going to come and actually alpha lock, right? This checkered box right here is alpha lock. And so what alpha lock does is if I click B to get my brush. If I go and I scribble paint, it's going to stay inside the bounds of the layer that I already have established. And so that is going to be super useful because I can come in now with my lighter tone. And you know what? I think that this is probably a little too dark for my medium. Another helpful tool right here is the magic wand tool. So right below, right, our polygonal lasso, we also have our magic wand tool. You have to be clicked on your line layer for this to work, so you'll have to toggle between these two layers. But if you click on your line layer, you can now click areas, and if your lines are correctly filled, it'll just select those areas. But after I have these highlighted selection, I can come back to my grays. Boom, click on gray. I can fill these in. Awesome. Now I can come back to my line, magic wand tool. Get my tire in the back, pick a dark color, fill that. That's maybe a little too dark for me. Perfect. I did it on the wrong layer. See right there, I did it on the wrong layer. You have to come back down to your grays or else it's gonna look goofy. Now I can fill it. Awesome. And anywhere that you don't miss, right, because this magic wand tool isn't perfect, you can come in with your brush, using B, and just kind of hand paint some of this stuff. And that's just going to be the fastest way to do it sometimes. Is just come in with your handy dandy brush, adjust the size, and quickly do some of that. And now I also have this area where my windows are, and so I'm going to go grab those, come back to my grays, just click Control X to cut that out. Awesome. I might come and grab my magic wand, grab the steering wheel, fill that. Cool. Oop. Then maybe I want to implement this white somewhere else. And so where do I want to do it? Maybe I could go and throw it on the roof. Do I like that? Not really. How does it feel? What would it look like on the seats? Yeah, I think I wouldn't mind the seats. So I'm going to come with my polygonal lasso tool, and I'm just going to go around and select the seats. Fill those puppies in. Go do it on this side. Nice. Come in maybe with my brush. Hit that. Come back in with the darker gray. Clean that up. And so I think I'm good with that. All I need to do now is come in with my handy dandy reference photo. This is obviously not the reference that I used, but I lost my reference as I used it last year. And I'm done. The only real constraint here, yours doesn't have to look perfectly like mine. If anything, I'm going to be honest, I don't know how I feel about all these gray tone values. I think that white is definitely too stark. And so I might, if I were to be kind of doing this and turning it in, I might drop down. I'd drop it down even another tick. Right? And so I shouldn't call it white. I should call it light gray because that's what it is. It's a light gray. It's not white. I like that a lot, but that feels a lot more cohesive. I enjoy that much more. Yeah, that's a lot better. Awesome. But so this is all we're doing. You'll put both of your vehicles, right? You'd throw the other one right over here. You throw your second vehicle over here, just with your reference image as well. And then you are done. The only thing that is required is that they have the same gray tones, right? Both of these vehicles are different tones, different shades, but they share the same 3 tones of gray. And so when you pick your 3 tones, just make sure that both vehicles receive the exact same treatment in terms of, right, just come here with Alt or I. That's how you do this, by the way, for color picking. Alt or I, or on Mac, that's actually Control bottom left on Mac. But that's how you color pick. And then just use the exact same 3 gray tones on your other vehicle, and only 3 grays. And so it might not be a 1-for-1 with your actual reference, right? You might have to take some creative liberties for how you're actually deciding to lay down your gray tones and depict it. But that's what we're doing. I don't really have anything else to say. Let me know if you obviously have any questions with what we're doing here. But otherwise, best of luck. This should hopefully be pretty quick.